I want to tell you about the most capable woman in her company. She delivered every single time, and her whole team leaned on her because she never dropped the ball. And still, she got passed over for VP twice. And here's the strange part. The thing that finally got her promoted was not working harder. It was doing less of the very thing that she was best at. I know how that sounds. So stay with me, because the day I understood why this happens, it changed how I coach every woman that I work with. I'm Jill Avey, a career success coach, and this is SisterSmart Leadership, the show that explores how women can rise from director to vice president and beyond by fully leaning into their feminine energy as their biggest advantage. Let's get you one step closer to the recognition and promotion you deserve. So if you've ever done brilliant work and gotten a warm review and then watched the title go to someone who you outwork every single day, this one's for you. There's a reason this keeps happening, and it's not the reason you've been told. In the last episode, we did a gut check on whether you're being seen as strategic yet. And if you missed it, no worries. You can circle back after this. So this week, I'm taking you inside of one woman's year, the year she went from passed over to promoted. Now, Dana is not a real client. I made her up as a combination of the stories that I've watched play out in my 9 years of coaching amazing women like you get to the next level. So if you've lived it, she is going to feel very real to you. Hidden inside Dana's story are 5 things that actually separate directors from VP, and we call them the Big 5 of strategy. And they're part of an assessment that we do in the Strategic Leadership Lab for women here at SisterSmart. I'm not going to teach you all 5 today. That's done in our 6-week program. It's more than I could cover in one podcast. But I am going to show you what having them does to people for how they see you and why they're the real currency of getting a promotion. So let's get into Dana's story. When Dana came to me, she was a director and a total powerhouse. She took on everything and shielded her team from the hard stuff, and she was proud of how much she carried. She had every right to be. She was really good at her job. And the thing is that every promotion cycle, that VP seat went to someone else, and no one could tell her why. And she kept getting that maddening feedback that so many of us have heard. We'd love for you to be a little more strategic. And then nothing. Nobody handed her a map or an example or even a picture of what that would look like. So she did the only thing that she knew how to do. She worked harder and took on the next big project and stayed later, because surely if she was perfect enough, they would have to see it. And here's the heartbreak in that. The harder that she worked, the more she proved the one thing that was keeping her stuck. She proved she was indispensable right where she was. And here's the insight that changed everything for her. And I want to hand it to you too. The promotion is not a prize for your past. It's a bet on your future. That's a key ingredient here. When senior leaders fill a VP seat, they are not rewarding the best work of last year. They're casting a future role, and they're asking themselves one question. Can I already picture this person in that chair? And if they cannot picture you yet, then all your wonderful work just makes you more valuable exactly where you are. And this matters even more for us as women, because there's real research behind that. It's not just a hunch. Researchers at Yale and MIT and the University of Minnesota looked at about 30,000 people on the management track at a big retail company. Women got higher marks than men for their actual performance, but they got lower marks for their leadership potential, even so. And that one gap in how their potential was rated made women about 14% less likely to get promoted. The study is called Potential and the Gender Promotion Gap, and I'll drop it in the show notes so you can read it yourself. So here's what that means for you. We keep paying into the currency of past performance while the promotion is being bought with a completely different currency. It's like we're spending US dollars and they're spending euros. That currency is what they think you could become next. And so that phrase, be more strategic, is almost never about your thinking. Decoding it usually means, I can't yet see you in the next chair. And so here's the trap inside of the trap. You can be the sharpest thinker in the building, but no one can see in your head. They can only see what you do and what you say. So your best thinking stays locked in your head as if it does not exist as far as your promotion is concerned. So you have to let them watch you think. And we go deeply into exactly how to do that in the lab. But here's one simple way to start that almost nobody does. So narrate your reasoning out loud, not just the polished conclusion, but the path you took to get there. This shift will make a big difference for you. It'll sound something like, here's how I'm weighing this, and here's the trade-off I'm worried about, and here's where I would place the bet, and here's why. So most of us hide all that and hand over that finished answer because we think the answer is what they want. But the answer just shows you can do the work. The reasoning shows you can lead it. And leaders promote the reasoning. And so the real work is not doing more, it's becoming someone that they can already picture up there. And I see this one pattern in hundreds of women, and it's sneaky. We overbuild the skills that are about doing the work beautifully, and we underbuild the skills that are about pointing the way and moving people. So think of your career like a garden. You've been watering the same 3 plants for years because they always bloom and they're always gorgeous. And that corner that would actually win you the prize, you walk past it every day on your way to water the plants that you already love. It reminds me of this plant that it's called a Phoebe that I have in my garden. I haven't quite figured out how to make that one flourish. So sometimes I just look the other way, but probably there's some easy moves I could make with it and it would grow big and full like my neighbors. That's what I want you to do. The plant you keep watering is your doing skills. And the corner you keep skipping is your strategic perspective. And strategic perspective is the exact thing that reads as VP material. So I want you to look at your own week for a second. How much of it went into doing and polishing and fixing and carrying it? And how much went into shaping where your team's going and where it's heading, building that kind of trust that gets people to move with you. For most of us, it's like 90 to 10. And then we wonder why we get seen as a dependable one instead of the next step up. The garden grows wherever you water it. So let me walk you through the whole garden. Here's the 5 things that senior leaders carry that most of us are never handed. These 5 things are actually what get you to the VPC. So first is grasp the present. So this is seeing the whole board instead of just your square. Second, shape the future. This is pointing out where we should be going instead of reacting to where we are today. 3 is move the system. So this is getting people to move with you instead of carrying it all yourself. 4 is deliver the results, turning plans into outcomes without burning yourself to the ground. And 5 is adapt to change. This is bending when the plan blows up instead of breaking. And I know, looking at that list, you might think, well, that doesn't sound so complicated. And you know what? You're right. They're simple to understand. But simple to understand and simple to live are 2 different animals. And trust me, as a coach, I know this fully well. It's like being told to eat well and move your body. Simple, and yet, do we do it? The space between knowing it and doing it every day under pressure when your calendar's on fire and 3 people need you at once, that space is where careers stall out. Knowing the 5 is easy. Rewiring 20 years of being rewarded for doing it all yourself, that's the real work. And that's what we do together in the lab week by week with real support so that the change sticks instead of fading the minute Monday hits. So when we lined up Dana against these 5, 4 of them were already really strong. She had built most of the portfolio out without even knowing it, but 1 had stalled, move the system. So she was doing the work instead of moving people to do the work. She was the smartest and hardest working person on her team, and she was solving everything herself. And here's how I put it to her. She'd become the engine, and engines do not get promoted to be the driver. Every time she jumped in to rescue her team, she told leadership one quiet thing without meaning to, that she's still a doer, not a leader yet. And notice this, 4 out of 5 strong, and that 1 gap was enough to keep her stuck for 2 whole promotion cycles with no end in sight. You don't need to be weak across the board. 1 missing piece in the portfolio is all it takes for senior leaders to think, not yet. Maybe you already feel which one's yours. A lot of women do the second they hear the list. There's a little flinch in one of them. And that's good news because that flinch is not shame. It's a map and it's pointing you straight to your next promotion. So let me show you what each one of these does for you because this is the part that nobody walks you through. Every single one of the 5 changes how people see you, and how people see you is what fills that next seat. So here's what it looks like when you can grasp the present. People stop briefing you, they start consulting you. So picture the difference. Before, you walk into the budget meeting with your numbers polished and ready to defend. And after, you walk in already knowing that the CFO is worried about cash this quarter and is already knowing that 2 peers are after the same dollars and already reading Which Way's the Wind Blowing. Same meeting, completely different leader. You go from being the person who has to be filled in to the person others come to. So the whole picture finally makes sense. That woman gets pulled into conversations that matter long before she ever gets the title. So next, here's what it looks like when you can shape the future. You stop executing someone else's vision and you become the one who has the vision of her own. And that's the loudest thing senior leaders are listening to. They're asking themselves, can she point the way or does she wait to be pointed? So here's what that sounds like. Most people walk into planning with a long list of everything that their team could do next year. And that list makes you look busy and important, but it doesn't make you look like a VP. The woman who shapes the future walks in and says, here are the 3 bets I think we should make, and here's why they matter more than the rest. She's turned the list into a direction, and everyone at the table felt it. And here's what it looks like when you can move the system. You stop being the hardest worker and you start being the one who can move a whole organization. This is the one that Dana had to grow, and it changed everything because moving people is the only thing that scales. And you'll never reach VP by being the best individual contributor with a fancier title. You get there by learning to win their hearts and minds so the work happens through other people, not just through you. And here's the part that most people get backwards. That warmth piece is not the soft stuff that gets in the way of leading. For a lot of women, this is just their superpower. People move for a leader that they trust, and trust is built on warmth plus follow through. And that's not just a nice idea either. It's how the brain actually works, and it's how we decide who to trust. And some of this is the first ground that we cover in the leadership lab. So picture Dana before and after. Before, a problem would show up and she would grab it because she could solve it faster than anyone. And after, a problem would show up and she would hand it to the right person and coach them through it. It goes slower the first 3 times, but faster every time after that. And it built a team that ran without her, which is the very thing that freed her up to do VP level work. So senior leaders notice the woman whose team gets stronger when she steps back. This is a really important piece. So now, here's what it looks like when you can deliver the results. You can become this person that they can hand something big to, and then they stop thinking about it because they know it'll get done on time and on budget without a fire drill at the end. This one sounds almost too plain to matter. It's really the basics of running a project, but it's these things. Can you plan the work so it holds together? Can you see how it's tracking before it goes sideways? Can you catch a problem early and raise your hand and fix it while there's still time? Can you deliver the thing that you said you would? Can you hold the budget the whole way? So none of that's the glamorous stuff, but here's the catch. It gets harder the higher you go, not easier. Down close to the work, you can keep all this in your 2 hands. At the VP level, you're delivering through other people across pieces that you never touch yourself. So same basics, but much longer reach. And when a senior leader is deciding whether to trust you with more, this is the real question underneath. If I give this to her, can I stop worrying about it? The woman who can answer yes becomes the one that they keep reaching for. So now finally, here's what it looks like when you can adapt to change. You become the steady one that they want at the table when everything's on fire. And there's a lot of that going on right now. And this is gold. Anyone can lead when the plan's working. Leaders earn their reputation in the muddy middle when nothing's working and everyone is looking around to see who's going to hold it together. And so I want you to picture this. You lose half your team in a reorg right before a major launch. Your instinct is to panic, but instead you ask a better question. You ask, what is this launch really trying to achieve? And what's the simplest version that still gets us there? And you strip it down to the part that matters. That launch goes out smaller and sharper and it works. And your leadership does not remember the chaos that you started in. They remember that you were calm and that you were the one that found a way through. That memory is worth more than any single result. So do you see the thread running through all 5 of these? Every one of them makes you more imaginable in that next chair. That's that whole game that we were talking about. So Dana made a change that scared her. She started handing real ownership to her 2 directors, not busy work, but real high stakes ownership. And at first it was really scary. She was nervous about it, but she held firm. And instead of rescuing them when they wobbled, she coached them through it. She set the direction and then she stepped back and let them figure it out. And she told me it was like feeling like she was sitting on her hands. It was uncomfortable. But guess what happened? Her team got stronger and her hours came down. And for the first time in years, she had the headspace to think bigger picture instead of being buried in the doing. And she told me the moment it really hit her, it was not the title. It was a Tuesday afternoon when she realized that she had time to think, real unhurried time to look up and ask, where are we taking this next? She'd been too busy being the engine to ever be the driver. And the people around her felt that shift too. Her directors started bringing her solutions instead of problems. Her leadership started looping her into bigger conversations. And she was not the reliable doer anymore. She was the one that they were building around. And within the year, Dana was promoted to VP with her best revenue month on record. She didn't get there by doing more. She got there by growing the one thing that she'd been letting sit on the shelf, and by becoming someone that her leaders could finally picture up there. I like to end each episode with 3 shifts that you can make today to do this same thing. First, find your flinch. Go back to those 5 and notice which ones you most want to skip past. That one that made you a little uncomfortable. Don't judge it. For a lot of us, this is grasp the present or move the system. That discomfort is just pointing you towards your next step. Name it out loud, and you can nip that stuck pattern in the bud before it costs you another promotion cycle. And so I'll put a PDF in the show notes that lists out the big 5 so you can read through it. Second, stop watering your strongest. The instinct is to double down where you're already great because it feels good and it feels safe. I want you to resist that. Becoming even more excellent at your best skill will not move you up. It just roots you deeper exactly where you are. And third, do one thing this week that lets someone picture you in the next chair. If your gap is shape the future, walk into your next meeting with one point of view about where your team could go instead of a status update. If it's move the system, take one thing that you would normally do yourself and hand it off and coach the person through it instead of taking it back. This is how you start becoming imaginable. So thank you for watching. Here's what I would love to know. Of these 5, which is your superpower? And which one have you been letting sit on the shelf? Drop that in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. I read all of them and I love seeing where you're at on this. Next step, download the free Big 5 self-assessment in the show notes and score yourself across the 5 so that you can see in black and white exactly which gap you have to close first. This will give you an idea and point you in the right direction. It's not the official formal assessment, but it's going to give you some good leading indicators of whether this would be something that you need to work on. And if you're ready to actually build those 5 along a small group of women leaders making that very same move, this is exactly what we do in the Strategic Leadership Lab for Women. Our next cohort is going to start on September 11, and I want you to register by August 15th and grab the early bird special because it's a nice little savings for you. And you'll find the link below at sistersmart.com/SLA for all the details and how it works. So if you're a female leader who wants to move up and make a bigger impact by leading at that higher level in your career, subscribe either on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. I'm on a mission to help more women succeed in leadership so that our world gets the benefit of what women bring to leadership. And if that's aligned with you, I'd love to have you be part of this community and tune into more episodes on women's leadership that will support more success for us all. See you in the next episode. If you're ready to fully lean into your feminine leadership and get promoted from director to vice president and beyond, hit that subscribe button so you'll get all the episodes to come. And check out the recommended video here to see how women are rising up without playing by the old rules that built these male-dominated industries and systems.